kind of talk about how he does it, his journey. His name is Kolaya Jardine, but we all call him Fuzzy. If you want to follow him on social media, it's HI Fuzz. He's a
radio station in 2013 when I started my journey. Fortune Builders came to town, and they said on the commercial, "We're looking for a few people to be part of our team." In my head, I needed something else because I just got out of prison for selling drugs. I was a drug user. I spent about 7 years in prison. When I came out, I had $2 million. I was working as a window cleaner. But before that, when I came out, I was trying to get a job. No one wanted to hire me, right? Because I'm an ex-felon coming out of jail. I went to jail for selling drugs and using drugs, of course. But I went to a car dealership, went to the next car dealership, to the next car dealership. Nobody wanted to hire me. But luckily, my friend that was locked up with worked for a window cleaning company. That's how it started. $0. I was blessed to have my parents put me into their house so that I could get myself back on my feet. Anyway, long story short, from the time I got my job, I went from $9 to $15, became a manager, and then I had two jobs, two side jobs to create, build my credit, right, and then save some money. I was able to pay for this education. Fortune Builders has taken me to where I'm at today, the things that they taught me. So just to give you guys a perspective of how much I spent, you get the $15 here, it's nothing compared to what I spent. The value that you're gonna get from us is huge. So the radio station came on, we looking for someone to be part of our team. I'm going, that's me. So I went, it was a free event. And then at that event, what they said made sense. They said, "We're going to have a 3-day event. We're going to teach you this. And I'm like, man, I want to be part of this. I want to know what they're doing. And a lot of the projects that they showed on the screen were students that did deals right here in Hawaii. So I went to the 3-day event, which I bought my ticket. I spent, right here it shows $197 to be part of, go to this event right here, which was the 3-day event in Honolulu. Fernando Terelo and Kahului and Tristan did the same thing too. They had different stories. And at that 3-day event, I already knew there was going to sell something, right? But I wanted to be part of the team no matter what. Because I never like work three jobs for the rest of my life, right? I was working window cleaning, I was a valet driver and a surf instructor in Waikiki. So I made pretty good money, right? With my credit bill. When they said $26,000, I was like, holy crap. I had the good credit, and I first went back to get my $20,000 loan at 4%, and I had a $6,000 credit card, and I paid for my education. I have my contract here. And just to show you guys, at events like this, networking with people that's in the industry, or it doesn't have to be the real estate. Right? If you want to learn something that you want to do in life, why not go to their best and do whatever you can for that person for free? Because when I signed up, they put me in touch with some coaches, and I did everything for free for them. Right? They needed a construction team. Brought them to construction. They needed a marketing team. I went out door knock for the list that they gave me. I put up bandit signs for them. Right? So your journey, I don't know, raise your hands. How many people did their first deal here? How many of you are new? First, you guys did a deal before? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're new to this. New to this. I'm glad that you guys are here today. It's one step closer to the first deal. Please contact us. Like, we're here to help you guys. We're a local lineup. I'm born and raised, I was born and raised in Maui, and we ended up moving out back to the Big Island with my grandparents, and then that's where I'm doing, brand new builds. So how I got into brand new builds and affordable housing was I grew up in Puna. Puna is an area where it's a little bit more rural, a lot of bushes, plenty of rain, bumpy roads. So the road that we grew up in when my grandparents moved us to the Big Island, we call it Lost Woods. It's like off-grid. We grew up with how we got hot water was with the kettle. Put the water in the kettle, mix it with the cold water in the bucket, and rinsed it off, wash it off. And we had kerosene and lanterns until we were, I was like 10 years old. And then we had electric and telephone. How many of you guys have had party lines in here? I know you older people. Oh, everybody younger than me. I'm the old Joe. So that's kind of, how you can see, like, even coming out of prison and having an X on my back. When I got busted right at Costco, right? I was living on this island, like, 99 to 2001. And my family's all over here. Some of them still doing the same thing, some of them not, right? It's what you choose, who you choose to hang around with. How I got involved with the stuff on the Big Island, I knew properties were cheap over there. My grandparents bought that 3-acre property when I was probably like 3 or 6 years old. They bought it for like $4 grand. Right now they're selling for like 3 acres, 35, 40 grand. How cheap is that? On Maui, you're not going to find 3 acres for that price. On Hawaii, you're not going to find that price there. No way. So I knew that was an opportunity for me to bring back or to educate families. I don't want to be prejudiced because I'm not, right? But I would like to give locals first crack. I mean, I'm not against other people buying, but like at least help our local community, buy something for your family, not before it's too late. Like, the only way, like, locals or anyone, any family here on Maui or Hawaii, to make it is like what Tara said. You got a house hack or start small, build your capital, and then you start building money to be able to afford something that's decent for your family and keep doing it, because it can be profitable and it can become successful. Because I've done it, I came out with $0 in my pocket. So I put a little ad from Fortune Builders. They told me, put up branded signs, put out ads. I put a little ad of Fuzzy buys houses on Craigslist. Fuzzy buys houses cash, and then I put it on the Big Island, Maui, each island on Craigslist, and the Big Island developer. That's how I met the Big Island developer. He called me and he said, "Hey, you buy houses?" And I said, "Yeah, I buy houses." But at that time, I knew I didn't have money. My mindset was a little trouble. What do we do? What am I going to do? So I went with the coaches. So I turned the developer onto the coaches, and I let them handle it. And because I was close to the coaches, I was able to learn the steps, right? They had the purchase contract. Wow, okay, so, developer's name, their company, the coach's name, company name, and then just following along. And we emailed it to the developer. So like I learned really quickly. So I'm like, okay, this is good. But I kept that purchase contract in my vault in my email, right? So I'm like, and eventually what happened was that deal never went through because I guess the developer found someone else to do the deal with it. But what happened was I kept the developer's number, and I just still worked with the coaches, and then a student like you guys came from another class that signed up with Fortune Builders. He brought one of the first deals to me. He said, "Hey, coach, the grades?" And I said, "Yeah, I know the grades, but," I said, "Yeah, I might have a deal. Can we talk about this deal?" So that's how I was able to get my first deal alongside with the coaches. And here in the back, I have the developer's number. I'm thinking, man, I should just call this guy. 6 months later, I called the guy. I'm like, hey, do you still have that property? He goes, no, I don't, but I have a couple more. So I threw my gun. It's unprofessional. I was chewing my gun or something. You better get it. Tell me. Fuzzy, stop chewing. Swear. Anyway, I kept in touch with the developer, and I called him up, and he said, no, I don't have the deal, but I have more. I have a business plan, but he told me I don't have money. Can you find the money? I was like, hell yeah, I can find the money. And I'm like, there's no way. I was thinking, how am I going to find this money? So a light bulb came in my head. Because we're part of Fortune Builders, there's always like a real estate group, right? So Fortune Builders created a Facebook page of everyone that's involved with, Fortune Builders. So that business plan that the developer gave me, I sent it out on Facebook, not Facebook Marketplace, but in their group. And like 20 people responded, right? So, hey, you put up 165 and then you can sell the house for 265 brand new house, right? So 20 people came, and then eventually there were one couple from here, from Maui. She knows things. Frank and Cheryl. Actually, they called me recently. Fuzzy, you still doing the same thing? We helped us, and they want to lend again. So, but I found this couple. I never had no money, right? I borrowed the money to pay for this education. So everything is all this is happening for me in the beginning. So we draft up a contract or operating agreement, we create a LLC together, and we do our first deal. Mind you, Perry is running at this time. The one that was coming out, if you remember, 2017 or something. That one that came right, stopped right before the whole town. It kind of took a couple of people's fences. Anyway, we ended up selling our first project. I found the money for the developer. I made 12% equity split. The developer made 60%, and the people who brought the money made the rest. I didn't care. I would have just done it for free because I wanted to learn the process. Because I knew in my mind, the land is cheap. I had the network of people that had the money, and then I knew eventually I was going to do this for my community, right? And to put family in homes that's affordable. And I'm still doing this today. I've been doing it since 2013. I'm blessed, right? I'm sitting outside and this girl comes, hey, Fuzzy, I'm like, I don't even know her. I see you on social media, oh my God, I get equity, so like deals start coming because I've been, doing a whole lot of projects to help our community, and when I do stuff, I'm still a blue collar person. People I'm more interested in other investors. I'm sorry for putting you guys under the table, but awesome people, but they work with systems, right? And for me, I'm more of I gotta get my hands dirty, and I'm more micromanaged. So I'm on all the projects, every single project that I'm doing, 30 plus that we're doing, I'm on picking up rubbish, writing the checks to myself, talking to everybody, and creating it like a relationship business. So our brand new houses we've been selling for recently has been under, the 2 bedrooms is under 300 grand on 8,000 square foot lots. Our 3-2s we've sold recently at 330 and then 365. 3 bedroom. Another one we just we're asking at 3 bedroom, 3 bath, pre-approved, quarter acre at 365.
Wow.
So I don't know if you guys who's from Maui. Holy yeah. Okay, so you guys know is it at Lowe's 808 Plates, Maui. So I know the kids, entrepreneurs. They bought the truck from the mainland, brought the truck here, and one of the kid, Rice is his name. He was able to get a loan, and he bought a house for me. I was gonna sell it for more, but then I sold him a brand new home for like, it was 300 grand. He tried to rent the part. He was making cash flow, but he just put the thing back on the market for like, I think he got it in escrow like 360 or something. So he's gonna make money, right? So I give him back and helping, you know, people from Maui too that's coming over. A lot of families from Kauai, a lot of families from Oahu, and I don't know. I feel proud to be here today and just to let you guys know that if Fuzzy can't do it, you can do it. Seriously, you guys can. I came up with nothing. I hope that inspire you guys to. I mean, you don't have to spend as much as I did. But okay, I will help you guys.
Wait, I have a question. So something to keep in mind. One, I remember Fuzzy saying that he has worked for free for the knowledge. Even though he bought education, he bought his education, he would still do work for free for more experienced investors because he would then have access to their knowledge, their network, their resources. So definitely keep that in mind if you're brand new on your journey here. And also the idea of collaboration. We always think that we have to do it all on our own, but we don't. You have to ask questions, you have to show up to events like this and connect with people, because down the line, there's a possibility of doing somewhat a deal together. Someone could bring you funds, someone could introduce you to a private lender, someone could introduce you to like the best construction crew in the area that you wanna invest in, right? So never stop networking and always think collaboration over profits. Yeah, you know.
So if you guys new to this business, you can check me out on High Fuzz on Instagram, HIFUZZ, or you can check out, I'm gonna start becoming a coach. Maybe alongside with Joshua. We're gonna put together a local lineup of people that's actually, you know, coaches here in Hawaii, because fortune builders don't live in Hawaii, they don't know our market, right? We're here.
Yeah.
We're here for you. I spent the thousands of dollars to me for you. For me, of course, you know, for me and my family first, but now it's reach a point where now it's like, okay, I'm gonna take all this knowledge and die. I'm gonna share this knowledge with people. So you can check out fuzzyjardine.com. We're gonna put together a list of people that wanna learn. Trying to figure out what it is that you guys are going to learn, because there's so much involved in real estate. You know, wholesaling, fix and flip, brand new builds, becoming a real estate agent, becoming a lender. Yeah, it's endless. And so proud of her. Give her a hand too, because this put it in the desk.
I have cut. They're over there. Thank you. All right, so you heard him talk about money, how to find money. One of our secret, it's not really a secret anymore, but one of our...
Not only is she one of my favorite clients, as she said, you know, we work together, but she's also one of the most adaptable investors I've ever worked with. I really haven't seen many investors roll with punches and break through obstacles like she's been able to. She definitely doesn't stop at paper walls, which is very important as an investor in this market condition right now, especially. And so she's the real deal, and she's a powerhouse. So again, thank you, Trevor, for hosting such a great event. And yeah, as Trevor mentioned, my name is Aiden Wong. I'm the Vice President of Originations of Keiko Capital, which is a hard money lending company based out of Oahu, but we lend nationwide. And my goal today is kind of to break down the history of hard money for you guys, because it's something that not a lot of people understand. And then also some things to keep in mind as a new investor looking to get financing for your first deal with a hard money lender. So hopefully some of the mystification around hard money gets answered. So in 2019, Keiko Capital was founded in Oahu with the goal of bringing institutional money to the islands. Since then, we funded multi-hundred millions of dollars of real estate transactions in the state of Hawaii, and we also lend nationwide. And so the goal, I think we were able to meet it, and now we're able to expand out and help other investors throughout all of the states. So, as I said, 2019 is when we wanted to bring institutional money to Oahu. The reason why we needed, that was a need, was because prior to 2019, we didn't see a lot of hard money lenders willing to play ball in Hawaii. And that's partly, in fact, due to the industry as a whole being fairly new. People think hard money must have been around for a while. Hard money, as we know of it today, has only been around for less than a decade. So there was old school hard money. What old school hard money was either high net worth individuals or very small local companies who were lending to real estate investors very scarcely for a very, very high rate. And when I'm talking about high rate, I'm not talking about the 11 and 12% hard money rates we're seeing today. I'm talking about 18% and 5 points. And so that old school hard money is where a lot of the negative connotation around hard money comes from. People call them, loan sharks or loan to own lenders. But a shift happened in 2015 where institutional money from Wall Street decided that they wanted to play in the hard money markets. And so we got banks like Goldman Sachs pushing massive amounts of money to capital aggregators, hard money lenders. So now these lenders have essentially limitless amounts of money that they can lend out to real estate investors. What that did in 2015 was create a lot of competition amongst lenders, a lot of lenders popping up, which drove rates down and leverages up, as what happens when there's more competition and more money to be lent. And so I have to give hard money some sort of credit for allowing the barrier to entry now for real estate investors to get much lower than it was a decade ago, where it's easier to access capital because it's more abundant, and allows investors to scale even greater, being able to access our money to do their projects. And so that difference is pretty much night and day. And it's so different that you'll hear some hard money lending companies now call themselves private lenders instead. And so if you ever see that, just know they're kind of a synonymous term, hard money lenders but private lenders, but essentially they're trying to distance themselves from old school hard money and into this new school private lending. For one, to get rid of that negative connotation that's still tied to that old school hard money. And then for two, because once they're taken more seriously and their loans are able to get rated, that allows even more capital to come into our space and allows better opportunities for investors. So that's something that's getting pushed by, it's called the NPLA, National Private Lenders Association, which is the largest association of hard money lenders and private lenders in our space. And Keiko Capital is actually a co-founder or a founding member of that association. So we're doing a lot of pushing and legislation and stuff to not only protect investors, but to get better products out to investors as well. So that's a little bit about the history of hard money, where it started and where it's at today. Now I want to get into what I think is the most important part of this small presentation, which is just going to be about the 4 things to keep in mind when you're presenting a deal to a hard money lender. And so hard money lenders, their boxes are vastly different. You go to any lender, they have a different niche, different lending box that they have to maintain. But there's going to be 4 things that essentially all lenders are going to be looking at across the board, in general, right? We're going to see the asset itself, your credit, liquidity, and experience. And so the first one, asset, this one's kind of self-explanatory, as hard money lenders are asset-based lenders. That means that our loans are secured by hard assets. And so that is, of course, very important for us to look at is how good is this asset for a real estate investment? Is it a flip? Then we're going to look how does it perform the numbers as a flip. Is it ground construction? We look at it that way. If it's a rental, we also look at does it cash flow, right? Some pretty obvious investment questions. And that's why any loan officer or hard money lender you talk to should not only be able to provide you a loan, but they should be very good deal analyzers. And it's something I train all my loan officers to be able to do, is they should be able to look at a loan provided that someone presents to them and be able to analyze it under 30 seconds. Because not only do we have profitability calculators we have to run, we have internal guidelines that we have to fit the loans in to understand what kind of leverages we provide. So the biggest one for that is going to be LTARV, which means loan to after repair value. And so the after repair value is the value of the property after you put repairs into it. So it's the future value of the property when you're looking to sell it. And so most lenders hover between 65 to 75% of that ARV value. So if you're looking at a property and it's $1 million ARV, maximum loan is going to be somewhere between $650,000 to $750,000, depending on the lender. And that's going to include for the maximum loan, the loan that they give for the purchase, which usually hovers around 75 to 90%, and the loan they give for construction, which is usually 100% for construction. So right away, when you're looking at a loan, before you present it to a lender, or when you're looking at a property, before you present it to a lender, you want to be able to run the numbers and know what is the maximum leverage that this lender will offer for an investor with your experience and background, and then does my project fit within their guidelines? And if it does, it's a good deal that can be presented to that lender. And so not only do we do that initial gut check, what we're also going to do is find some sort of true value, and that true value is going to be found through a type of valuation done. Different lenders, you hear me say this a lot, different lenders do different things. Some lenders might require full appraisal, some might use BPO, so broker's price opinion. It might be an internal valuation, desktop appraisal, drive-by appraisal. There's a lot of different ways to value a property. Either way, the hard money lender is going to get to the bottom of what the true value of that property is. So, before you go into a deal or present a deal to a lender, make sure you're aware of the LTARV thresholds, and then also knowing that your property is going to have a full appraisal typically done to it. And a lot of investors ask, well, this isn't conventional. Why do I need a full appraisal? Because hard money lenders, we make it easier than conventional. We're still not stupid. We have to find that true value on that property, which is done by some sort of valuation. So, first was asset, first was asset, and now second is going to be credit. And credit is important. Same thing, people ask, okay, this is hard money, not conventional, why is my credit important? Because we're not looking at W-2 employment, we're not looking at tax returns. We want to see that investor has the ability to manage debt. And so credit gives not always a perfect picture, but a relatively good picture of how an individual manages debt. And so again, different lenders, different things. Some might have a minimum of 600. Some might say, unless you're at 720, don't even talk to me. And then some might be, okay, from 660, average 20 credit rating points, you get better leverage and better terms. So knowing beforehand, when you commit to a lender, what their credit requirements are, as far as where it applies to you, is going to be something that's very important to know. And also, not enough investors do this, but baby your credit, because it really does help when you're wanting more doors to open in the financial realm, and especially if you're looking at rental loans, DSCR loans, which are going to be like 30-year loans. Those loans are very, very heavily tied to your credit, not as much as the bridge loans, like your fix and flip loans. So that's just something to keep in mind for credit. Okay, third is going to be your liquidity. And same thing, this is something that a lot of new investors see talked about a lot, is OPM, other people's money, leveraging not only hard money, but private money to go into a deal with no money down. Which is, yes, OPM is very important and very crucial for any investor who's looking to scale. Unfortunately, a lot of lenders are going to also need to see some sort of liquidity verification to show that you're liquid. Typically, it's up to the amounts of the down payment, the closing costs, and usually about 6 months of interest reserves to see that you have enough money to do the deal. And so, again, not all lenders do that, so it's actually something at Kahului Capital, we don't have any liquidity verifications, which is good for investors. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm not here just to pitch about my product, I'm here to talk about hard money in general. And in general, that's going to be something that's going to be required to look at. So they're going to see bank statements or retirement accounts or IRAs to see that you have enough money to close a deal. And if you're bringing in private money, that means sometimes you have to get a little bit more creative. And if you want to talk to me about that creativity, you can find me after. So the fourth and final one that I wanted to discuss is going to be experience. And experience is important because it shows proof of concept that you're able to take on a project that a lender is going to lend on. The reason experience is important is because it mitigates risk from the lender's standpoint to know they're lending mass amounts of money to someone who has a track record to perform. That doesn't mean as a new investor you can't get into a deal, because you can. Just know that it will affect your terms that you're able to get if it's your first time loan. And also, as a new investor, some lenders have specific first time investor requirements. So be sure to talk to your lender about if there's any first time investor requirements for you. And besides that, experience is important because, as Tareva mentioned and Fuzzy mentioned about the collaborative nature of investing, partnering up with an experienced investor is something that I always recommend more times than not to newer investors. For one, it takes away a lot of the headaches knowing that you have someone looking over your shoulder. And two, it will help you get you qualified for better rates, better terms, and better leverages to be able to take down the deal easier. And so I work with a lot of investors nationwide, different communities of real estate investing. I have to say, Hawaii is one of the most collaborative, most go-giver-minded groups of investors. And so you'll see a lot of investors JVing together, even if they're experienced, because there's enough to go around, which is interesting enough because it'd be easy.
$1 million projects of new subdivisions, shopping centers, hotel renovations, just working my okolea, I can't say the other word, but feeling like tired every single day, just working, taking care of the kids, sleeping, and getting up and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it wasn't until my husband, right there in the back too, shout out to Woody's Plumbing Services, his company. He had started his own company from the ground up. I remember with his 2002 Toyota with the racks in the back, like two-door passenger, and he was like, man, I'm gonna start my own business. And he gave me a lot of the courage that I have today to pursue this new endeavor. But when I was coming home, he said a quote to me, and it stuck with me for a long time, and it was, they're getting the best of you, and we're getting the rest of you. And that really hit home to my heart, because my whole thing is like, I wanted to succeed in life, have this great career. They were always telling me the American dream, how can I make it in life? Go to college, get a good degree, and we'll be set, we won't have to worry. But here I was, every weekend just tired and trying to figure out, what I could do in order to get my family in a better position. I was an engineer. He works as a plumber. Like, why are we not where we want to be in life? Why do we feel so strapped? I lived in low-income housing. How come I feel the same way that I did when I was young? And so from there, I started Googling, like any millennial does, how to quit my job and get rich, and ended up finding a lot of these people own real estate. And I was like, how the heck? It was so hard for us to qualify just to get our own home. And initially, we're looking at Maui Lani area. My husband's like, yeah, these are nice houses. And we pull up to a fixer-upper for like 400 grand. He's like, ooh, I don't know about this. You sure? I'm like, yeah. Well, we already put in an offer. He didn't know, but we're doing it. So from there, we fast forward to now. We have 17 rentals on our own, done over 21 flips completed, have a midterm rental, short-term rental, small multifamily, and just got into bigger multifamily, so over $100 million assets under management, part equity owner of over 500 units in Texas and Florida, and we just recently started.
Forming relationships today, getting together with people, getting uncomfortable. I see familiar faces.
What up,
all over.
Ethan?
Yeah. That's where the true value is going to happen. Gone are the days of the old school methodology where I need to keep everything close to my vest. You're my competition, right? We are now in a new era in this real estate industry of abundance, of collaboration, of elevating everyone in our community together. And so, I just wanted to give that little spiel before we kind of get started. But who are we?
We're Kahului and Tristan. So we started investing about 6 years ago, and we dove straight into the fix and flip space. And we are still in the fix and flip space. We love it. We will never leave it. But we also buy and hold through creative finance. So we have a portfolio worth over $7 million as of today. And it's in Oahu, Hilo, and Florida. And just like Tereba talks about, we do the Deals in Aloha Meetup, where we showcase our projects, we showcase other people's projects, and really just open it up for anybody that wants to learn about